Louisiana begins its conversation. Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome into Talkback here on a Wednesday morning. I'm Al Cordaro, joined today by Trish Lala. Glad that you all could be with us. Good morning, Trish. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fantastic. Happy to be back here.
You're wearing a nice shade of blue. I like that color.
Okay, thank you.
You're looking at me like, what's this all about?
Well, because you usually tease me about what shade of blue or orange I'm wearing. So, and this is not one of those shades. So
it's a little bit more like a Dolphins aqua blue.
Yeah.
You know. Speaking of Dolphins,
springtime.
It's kind of cool that those Dolphins met the astronauts when they splashed down.
That was so cool. You saw the video footage of that, and that was amazing. And what a great story. And I can't wait to talk about that. There's so many things for us to talk about, but we're kicking the show off right at the beginning here, Al.
Absolutely, we are. And we're very excited. The NCAA tournament is underway. Last night they had the play-in games. Alabama State got an exciting last-second victory over St. Francis on a full-court pass, kind of almost reminiscent when Duke beat, was that Kentucky back then? And then in the nightcap game, North Carolina, which got a lot of criticism for making the field, they're a good team.
Right.
So, speaking of Alabama, I think there are a couple of other Alabama teams in the tournaments. Yeah, the University of Alabama. Isn't there another one or two? I think is the Auburn in the tournament?
I'm just going to sit back here and not say a word right now because I'm going to let our guests talk about
our favorite Auburn alum with us. And one more team that I know you guys have heard of, this school, Troy University. Remember a few years ago when they beat LSU in football?
Yes.
Well, they're pretty darn good in basketball as well. They are the Sun Belt Conference champions. And if you all remember, and I'm sure you do, Larry Cordaro, his time at LSU Alexandria, did an amazing job building that program, took them within one shot of winning a national championship. But the last couple of years, he has been at Troy University as an assistant coach and director of operations for the basketball program there. They are on to Milwaukee, which I'm pretty excited to say. And Larry Cordaro joins us on the phone this morning. Good morning, Larry. How you doing?
Hello, Al, Trish. So good. Thank y'all for having me. I could just listen to you guys forever. Y'all are doing great.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. You know, we miss you here.
I know that voice. Just hearing that voice. It's good to hear you.
Larry was always a presence at a lot of the civic meetings and things like that. And you know, had an amazing time, an amazing run at LSUA. But now, Larry, you're at Troy University. I actually had a chance to go there last year when we had a journalism conference there. What a beautiful campus that is. Very underrated school. Tell us a little bit about your time there so far, how you've been enjoying it.
It's awesome here in Troy. I'm in my second season at Troy as we're getting ready to practice this morning and then depart for Milwaukee, as you mentioned. We're excited to be in the NCAA Big Dance. And y'all were talking about blue earlier, and it made me, now, why is it called the Big Dance? And I was curious. A couple of days I looked back, and we're actually going to be practicing at Marquette in the Al McGuire Center. Al McGuire, as you know, coached Marquette.
Yep.
And he started he told the reporters that he was wearing his best blue shiny coat to the Big Dance. And that's where everybody now talks about putting on your dancing shoes and going to the Big Dance. So that's a true story. That's where the Big Dance came from, was Al McGuire. And it's pretty neat that we're taking our Troy Trojans up to Milwaukee today to play Big Blue Nation on Friday. But the color that's going to matter the most is going to be Troy Cardinal. We have an outstanding president up top. He's been here for over 35 years, and it trickles down to our athletic director and all our sports here at Troy. As you mentioned, the football team, we actually took our Alexandria basketball team. We were at that game. We were present in Tiger Stadium.
Oh, wow.
And how would I have really ever known, fast forward to 2 years ago, I would have reunited with Scott Cross. He's the head coach here. He's in his 6th year. And the only times that I've lived outside of Louisiana have been when I worked with him in Arlington, Texas for 2 years. And now I've lived in Troy, Alabama on his staff for 2 years. So Scott Cross and I are reunited. I'm very happy that I'm part of this program.
Yeah, and you guys will be taking on Kentucky in the first round, 6:10 for people that want to check that out on Friday at Fiserv Forum in downtown Milwaukee. I was looking at the weather earlier, and I was hoping that you would get like a nice March weekend. I think it's going to be nice on Friday, but Thursday and Saturday, not. Make sure you have a jacket.
That's right. That's right. We've traveled everywhere this year. We've been to Oregon, played the Ducks. We actually played Houston Cougars, and we played John Calipari and the Razorbacks. And, the Sun Belt Conference goes all the way from Boone, North Carolina to San Marcos, Texas. And, our conference tournament was in Pensacola. We had some good weather down there where we won 3 games in 3 days last weekend. And that's why we're here talking today, because we're one of the 64-plus teams now that are going to the NCAA tournament. And this hasn't happened in Troy since, I believe it was 2017, the last year that they went.
Yeah, I know that the record is 0-2 all-time, as you mentioned, losing to Duke, 87-65 in 2017, 71-59 to Xavier in 2003. So if there is a team that's ripe to make an upset, I'd say it is the Troy Trojans.
We've got a tough, competitive, selfless, communicating, and an ownership group. Those are our 5 core values that we stand by every day in our program. And we've got a lot of players from Texas, and we've got some from Alabama, but they just all have meshed together and have really, for 2 years now with the portal nowadays, you think you lose your team, but we were able to retain our bunch. And so that's a big part of our success is we're one of the top teams in returners.
And we're also that is great. Yeah.
Yeah. So it stands for what Coach Cross has built here and what he's done over his career as a head coach from UT Arlington days, where he's no stranger to the NCAA tournament. He's taken the UT Arlington team there, and now he's taking Troy. So, we've got a great staff, and we've got lots of talent here, and we just do things. Our motto is take the stairs, and not just literally and figuratively. And we work hard on and off the court, and it shows that we're one of the top teams in the country when it comes to offensive rebounding, and we do and steals, and so we do a lot of the dirty work.
For sure. We're talking with Larry Cordaro, former head coach at LSU Alexandria, now an assistant coach with Troy University. And you mentioned Coach Cross, Scott Cross, who is doing a great job there. I saw an interesting article where they were talking about the fact that all of his recruits have to like Waffle House.
Yeah, I know where you're going with that. And I had a friend that texted me from New Mexico yesterday, and he said, "Is that true?" I'm like, wow, I'm getting texts from people, but Coach does like Waffle House, and it's kind of taken on a life of its own. I think we should get some publicity and some NIL sponsorship deals for our program.
NIL sponsorship there already?
I mean,
man,
that's pretty good. And we actually had a recruit this weekend. We had our NCAA host selection party at Baumhauer's. It's former. Trish probably knows.
Baumhauer.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Dolphins.
So, I'm actually in Rotary. I miss everyone there, downtown Alexandria Rotary. But we had Mr. Baumhauer come and speak at our Rotary Club. Actually, I missed it because we played on Monday night on ESPN, and we beat Arkansas State for a chance to get to the NCAA tournament. And we meet at the same time, Tuesdays at 12. And so I told him yesterday, I said, hey, I wanted to be here, but I'm glad I did miss Rotary last Tuesday.
Yeah.
We've been on quite of a journey. We were hot. We're probably 1-8 of 9, and it was a 4-way tie for regular season champs. But we were undisputed champs and took care of business down in Pensacola in the tournament.
That's awesome.
Peaking at the right time. That's what's important, right?
Yeah.
Yep,
Coach is all. That's coach speaking. You want to do it, but we're actually doing it.
Well, you got a little bit of an opponent here in Kentucky.
Yeah, we do. One of those SEC schools, Trish, I thought about you about 3 weeks ago. I went to the Arkansas at Auburn game. It was my first time.
Oh, you were in the jungle?
To the new jungle, correct. Yes. I hadn't been in that gym before, and it was if you remember, it was a good close game.
Yep.
Calipari, gave him a good run there, and
yeah,
it was a familiar deal because we'd played Arkansas early in the year. We actually had beaten Arkansas for a half, and in basketball, of course, you don't win halves, you win games, but. We were young in our season back in November, and guys have gotten better. So we knew we were going to probably play an SEC team. We're like, let's just watch the SEC tournament. I mean, there's 14 of 16 teams are going.
Yes,
crazy.
I know, isn't that crazy? But I'm very, very jealous because I have not been to a basketball game in the jungle yet, and it's on my bucket list. But man, tickets.
Trish, going to the NCAA tournament is every coach's bucket list dream, and
it's got to be.
Aging myself, in 2003, I went to the NCAA tournament. We played in Birmingham versus Purdue with John Brady and the Tigers. I was a graduate assistant.
Oh, wow.
So it just shows how tough it is. So 20-something years later, and here I am getting the opportunity to go back again. And let me tell you a neat little story. Last year, I went to Omaha, Nebraska, and watched the first and second rounds of the tournament. My brother is the president of a minor league baseball team up there, and I had a buddy that coached at BYU, and I knew him from Ruston, where he was on staff with the Louisiana Tech team back when I was young, and so we stayed in touch, and he gave me some tickets. So I went and watched the game, had awesome seats and everything, and so lo and behold, he's now on staff with Mark Pope at Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
So
wow.
I'm gonna walk up to him before the game and say, hey, man, thanks for the tickets last year, but this year it's pretty neat. I didn't have to ask you for tickets. Our team earned our way in.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, you need to pass this along to Coach Cross. I don't think there are any Waffle Houses in Milwaukee, but George Webb is a fireplace to have breakfast, if you guys want to check that out. Another one I'd recommend, Miss Katie's Diner, which is just off the campus of Marquette University. So while you guys are at the Al Center, you might zip over there.
How do you know all about Milwaukee, Al?
I grew up there.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I went to Marquette University. So.
I was going to say, you are in Al's stomping grounds when you're up there.
That's it. I'm very jealous. I wish I could hop the plane with you guys and make it up there, too.
I've been in Milwaukee once when I was an assistant in Hammond at Southeastern Louisiana. We played, and I don't know if that building is still, I mean, that was probably 10 or 12 years ago. It might be a brand new building, but I've been to Milwaukee just once.
Yeah, they used to play in the Bradley Center, but they tore it down when they built this new Fiserv Forum, which is really nice. I think you guys will enjoy the experience of getting to play there, and hopefully you enjoy it all the way to an upset win, and we can...
hey, I would be happy with that.
And maybe we'll see in one shining moment a clip of Larry Cordaro. You never know.
We'll be watching for you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, too. And one last thing, your former team, LSUA, they're in the Sweet 16 of NAI. Do you kind of keep up with them still?
For sure. Follow them as much as I can with what we've got going here. But Coach Jackson's done a phenomenal job, and he's just continued to carry the torch. And those guys are going to do well in Kansas City, and hope they can take it one step further than what we did. Still got some former players that are on that team, and a lot of the guys, some of them that we'd recruited as well. But, he's done a good job. He's proud to see that the program is, right there. And you look back and something that you built is thriving and going as strong as ever.
Yeah, well, you had a lasting impact on this community and on that school, and I'm glad to see that you're continuing your impact at Troy University. Wish you guys the best. We'll be watching on Friday.
I miss everyone in Alexandria. Thank you guys for having me, and to all the listeners. Good health to y'all today.
Thank you, Larry. God bless you.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to take a break. Larry Cordaro, the former coach at LSUA, now an assistant coach at Troy University. They're in the NCAA tournament Friday against Kentucky. We'll take a break. Jeff Powell joins us on the other side.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. It's still tough out there for would-be home buyers. Now mortgage rates are on the rise again after trending lower since January. A bankers group says the 30-year mortgage rate rose to 6.72% last week. The popularity of the HBO TV series White Lotus is boosting tourism to Thailand. Now Bangkok Airways is gearing up to order as many as 30 new aircraft as it renews its aging fleet and plans for all of the new visitors. The Thai Airlines CEO says the company plans to tap Airbus, Boeing, and Embraer to meet its fleet goal in the next 4 to 5 years. The government predicts a record 40 million visitors to the country this year. All eyes on the Federal Reserve today for investors as it ends its 2-day meeting. Interest rates are expected to remain unchanged. Investors will pay close attention to hear what Jay Powell has to say about the economy. Futures are higher this morning after stocks tumbled yesterday, with tech taking the biggest hit. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
Looking for fun, learning, and excitement at your fingertips? The Rapides Parish Library has you covered. With our easy digital online calendar, signing up for events has never been simpler. Whether it's story time for the kiddos, workshops, painting classes, book clubs, or special guest speakers, you can browse and register right from your phone or computer. Just click, search, sign up, and show up. Head over to our website at rpl.org and get connected today.
The value of experienced leadership cannot be overstated in the Clerk of Court's office. Progressing through the ranks, Karen Corley is the most qualified to be the next Clerk of Court for Rapides Parish.
With 37 years of service, I am dedicated to safeguarding our elections, keeping crucial evidence safe, and streamlining access to public documents both online and in person. I'd be honored to have your vote.
Let's keep what's clearly working. Karen Corley, our Clerk of Court.
Paid for by Karen Corley for Clerk of Court.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BON Bank Talk line at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BON Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. Now back to Talk Back.
All right, we're back here on Talkback on this Wednesday morning. Al Quartermont, Trish Lala with you, sliding into the chair. Our next guest this morning, Superintendent Jeff Powell, for his monthly visit with us. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, Al. Good morning, Trish. Good to see y'all. I was out there listening to Coach Cordaro on the phone with y'all. So good to hear his voice. Hadn't talked with him in a while.
Right. And, we were talking with him about how he was such a presence in this community when he was here as head coach. You would see him at all kinds of functions, especially the civic groups like Downtown Rotary, and he really engaged himself into this community, did a fantastic job building that program. And now you've got Coach Jackson kind of getting it back to that level again as well. So
he's doing an amazing job just following right in those footsteps too. And so it's great for LSUA. But I didn't realize how much, that voice is just so familiar.
Yeah.
Because it was just around everywhere all the time. So it was so great to get to talk to him this morning.
I do have to tell y'all, like a funny story I was thinking as I was listening to his voice. We have a son that wound up going to Louisiana Tech, and we were looking at some options for housing and everything up there. And I wound up calling a realtor, and it was Larry Cordaro's dad.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
We worked with him.
So we had probably a 20-minute conversation. It was funny. So sorry. Yeah.
Well, that's my Larry Cordaro story. You were a basketball player, right?
I played a little bit. I was played out at Northwood back in the day. We had some fun times out there.
Oh, I'm sure you did. And now Coach Tinsley is out there, Jason Tinsley, and his son Landon, who I think is in 8th grade this year, but is going to be a phenomenal. He already is a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
So, but another school in the parish, Plainview. How about those guys winning a state championship?
Absolutely. Class C, Plainview went down. We were so excited last week when we got the news that they made it to the semifinals early in the week. And then, they played their games the way the LSUA does the tournaments for, because we have so many games that have to be played. They play a lot of them during the day. So their first game on Tuesday, I believe it was on at 1:00 in the afternoon. So, small school, small community. So we actually gave them a virtual day so that everybody who wanted to go, give them the option to do a spirit bus. And obviously many members of the community were able to go down to the semifinal game that they won. And then, of course, played for the state championship on Friday, and so badly wanted to go down there and enjoy that with them, and we just couldn't with some of the things that we had scheduled. But super excited about Plainview out there. So sometimes I have to remind people that they are part of Rapides Parish. It's out there on the line, probably closer to Elizabeth than more. Some people don't even know where some of this stuff is.
Right.
Great school out there, great community, tremendous support for everything that's going on out there. So super excited about announcing that.
Yeah, I've been out there a couple of times covering stories, and I remember after Hurricane Laura how that community was really roughed up.
Yeah.
So seeing them, get this, it reminds me of a school I covered in Wisconsin where people joked the whole town was going down to the state tournament, and last one to leave, turn out the lights.
Yep.
That's exactly right. And then look, they're claim to fame too is that they have a great digital arts program. They've won a couple of awards the last few years. I mean, they do some great things with, limited resources when you're in a smaller community school, but they do wonderful work out there.
And their girls team has been good in the past too as well.
They oftentimes you hear about some of those other schools along maybe Sabine Parish up there, kind of along the Texas line, but don't sleep on some of our smaller schools in Rapides Parish as well.
Yeah, and Peabody made it to the semifinals, had a tough loss in their game, but they'll be back next year.
Yeah, talk about a defensive struggle. I mean, you hold a team to 31 points, you think that particularly a Peabody team could knock it out, but just the balls weren't falling that day for us. But Coach Smith, I think I saw a ranking the other day, Al, you're probably more familiar with this than I am, of state championships by schools in the state of Louisiana, and I think Peabody's right up there in the top 4 or 5 with 10 state championships in the last, 15, 25 years, however long that list was for. So it's hard to beat that.
That's for sure. And not just in the parish do we celebrate the athletic success, but a lot of great academic success going on. And you have a principal who's in the running for a pretty nice honor.
It is. I feel like we were here last year talking about this. It seems like almost every year now, Al and Trish, we have somebody, whether it's a teacher, a new teacher, a principal that is getting recognized at the state level as being a finalist or a semifinalist. A couple years ago, we had Becky Warren. This year, it's Miss Pam Walker, who, if you haven't met her, it's worth having her on the show, Al. I mean, she's that big of a personality.
Wow.
I've worked with her all the way back to my director days when she was a teacher and leader at W.O. Hall Elementary School. She's been principal over at Leslie Moore now for, I think, about 4 years. And just tremendous. I don't know that there's a school in the state of Louisiana that's had more growth than them. I would have to really break it down and see. But what she's
Add her
done,
to the guest list.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be terrific to get to talk to her about what she's doing over there.
Absolutely. And I'd love to help coordinate that. But extremely excited that she's getting that record. Here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. Some of the most under-celebrated people in the world are principals of schools.
Yeah.
I agree.
The first group of people that I met with when I became superintendent, literally the same week that I was named superintendent, I asked for all of the principals to come meet me, and we met at Pineville High School in their library. And obviously, a bunch of these folks were friends of mine. I had worked here before. And one thing I told them that day, and I still reiterate it today, the absolute hardest job in K-12 education is a school building principal. And I'm almost 6 years into being superintendent now, and I'll sit here and I'll tell you the hardest job in K-12 education is a school building principal. They're CEOs of multi-million-dollar businesses. That when you think about the campuses, the employees, the payroll, the food, the transportation, everything that they contend with on a day-to-day basis, and as far as managing a business, but also they're the face of a community.
Yes, they are.
A school principal, most of our elementary schools are in their neighborhood. So if something's going on in the neighborhood, the conduit through which it goes is the elementary school. Of course, you think about the middle and the high schools, that so many things go through there. So when one of our principals gets recognized as a finalist or semifinalist for state Principal of the Year, I mean, we should be shouting it from the mountaintops.
Absolutely, and that's what we're doing here. All right, Jeff Powell's our guest. We need to take a break. More talk back coming up.
KSYL. Hi, this is Pete with Pro Carpet and Duct Cleaning. We've successfully cleaned air ducts for over 30 years, and we've proven to our customers that we can reduce the dust in your home up to 75% and make 35% more air come out of your vents, which lowers your utility bill and makes your central air unit 90% less likely to fail. Doesn't your family deserve clean air?
For a cleaner, healthier home, call 445-4818.
Attention all real estate agents, property owners, and lenders. When you or a client needs a real estate attorney, call the professionals at Thompson Law Firm. Whether the legal matter is basic or complex, the Thompson Law Firm can accurately guide you or your client to a successful outcome. That's why numerous industry professionals have trusted the Thompson Law Firm for years. They also handle estate planning, successions, and business law. Call them at 473-0052. I am a paid non-client attorney spokesperson.
The Greenhouse presents When the New Wears Off. Everyone in the family just loves that new pet. So cute, so fun-loving, but then the new wears off, and its people lose interest. What then? Make no mistake, this animal's love is unconditional. He still loves his family like he did on day one. Please, be kind and make sure your family is willing to be responsible before bringing a pet into your home. The Green House.
To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK, 970 AM. 100.9 FM. KSYL. Now back to Talk Back.
And we are back, continuing our conversation with Rapids Parish Superintendent Jeff Powell here on Talkback, our monthly visit with him. And we've been celebrating some of the great successes that we're seeing in the school district just right now. Here's another one. Young man from Buckeye, accepted to the Air Force Academy.
I hope people are following us on social media, but when you see, I think we're up to 3, maybe 4 students this year that have accepted appointments to some of our, some of the highest honors in the land, as far as I'm concerned, being accepted in one of the military academies. And so we're excited to celebrate Drew from out there at Buckeye this week. We're going to, in fact, I talked to some board members last night at our committee meetings. We're going to try to do a special recognition for these folks at an upcoming board meeting, because it's a big deal. And now, I don't know, it's hard to say now more than ever, but as we move into a new world of accountability, finally, the state accountability system is going to recognize when students graduating high school choose to serve us in the military, whether they're appointed to an academy or not, or accepted to an academy or not. If they join the Army, join the Navy, join the military and Marine, it will be part of accountability. So really excited about that.
Yeah, and you would think with the tradition that we have in this state of strong military, that it's kind of surprising that it hadn't been counted before.
It's.
I like that chuckle, right?
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I don't have any words for that, Al. Some things that seem like
Al.
Be common sense. Yeah,
you're right, Al.
Right. I mean, we're 45 minutes from a major Army post. We got an air base that was here for years, and another one still just an hour and a half away, 2 hours away up in Shreveport. Major National Guard institutions all over the state. So, glad we're finally catching on.
Look at that. Even called it the right name, Army Post.
Air
Force Base.
But you're right. I mean, we need to celebrate all of these. We should be celebrating all of these.
Well, and look, some people know a little bit of my story. When I graduated high school, I didn't have a lot of options. My parents didn't have a, savings account for me to go to college. I don't know if TOPS was around back then or not. If it was, I didn't know anything about it. And, if it wasn't for the Louisiana Army National Guard, there's no way that I would have been able to even consider going to college. And it knocked out multiple birds, right? In terms of sending me off. I left 2 weeks after graduation, went straight to basic training. The AIT came back, 4.5 months later, a different human being and with options and opportunities after that. So knowing that now the state is going to recognize when our young men and young women choose that route or some other route within the armed services is going to get recognized is tremendous.
Sawtell's going to get this one. So you're saying they had a 6 to 8 week training program, which was perfect for you.
That's exactly right. He told me yesterday he's going to call in and disguise his voice or something. So, don't answer any phones today.
Well, we want to congratulate Drew Tyson. He's the Buckeye High School senior, accepted to the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. Man, just to get to live in Colorado Springs for 4 years is pretty awesome.
In Air Force Academy, that is a big deal. So yes, congratulations to him. It's so wonderful. I swear, every time you're up here, we're talking about all of these great things, all these celebrations. I had an occasion to talk to somebody on the phone the other day who was looking to move here and works for the school board in the area that she's in up in New Jersey. And it was so terrific to tell her, we have been making national headlines with what we're doing here in our school district. And so it's so terrific seeing the list of all the celebrations that you've got going on.
Yeah, I think every time we've been on the last few months, we've been able to just kind of go through some of the accolades, and not just Rapides Parish, but our state and our region. We've got some wonderful school systems that touch us here, right here in Rapides, right around the Central Louisiana community. And I'm so thankful that we have such strong working relationships with everybody. But, some of the things that we see, and I know I got to come on last week with Jason DeWitt as we talked through some of the amendments and things like that. The state of Louisiana is moving strongly in the right direction. And, I hope people recognize that with the level of leadership that is in place within the state and then in different communities around the state, we've got a lot of great opportunity here. And Trish, I'm glad you get to stay on top of it as you're doing the real estate thing and other things that you're involved in. So you get to keep that top of mind with people.
Absolutely, because it's one of the most important things that we hear from people. They want to know about the schools and about the school district and what it's doing, because it is such a big part of a decision-making process when you're looking to move and you've got a family.
Right.
And so, being able to highlight all of these things is just, it's terrific to be able to do.
Well, and I'm appreciative of over the last few years for sure. Listen, we've got problems. We've got things that we have to deal with each and every day. But particularly our media partners, as we've all continued to think about who we are as a community, there's a lot that we can choose to talk about each and every day.
Yeah.
Right. And it is a choice. And what we see being highlighted now in the Central Louisiana region, whether it's the economic development growth, the hard work that Louisiana Central and others are doing, the tremendous work that the Rapides Foundation and Orchard Foundation are doing to support healthy lifestyles and things like that, all the different things they invest in. My goodness, the higher ed footprint with CLTCC and Dr. Sawtelle, what LSUA and them are doing out there, Dr. Carrell, it's unbelievable. And I actually got a chance to meet Dr. Johnson, the new president at LCU yesterday. And folks, just get ready. I mean, if you couldn't have thought that it could get any better, I mean, I think we just got to keep pushing and pushing that envelope, raising the standard, because this is unbelievable. And I don't want to not mention Northwestern with their footprint out at the air base, Jason Parks and the work that they're doing. So
yeah, and we had Jason on the show yesterday. We had Dr. Johnson on the show Monday, so it all ties in well together. Let's take our last break. We'll come back and kind of look ahead to what's remaining in this school year that is quickly evaporating here on Talkback.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Hey, Louisiana. It's time to volunteer for Keep Louisiana Beautiful's annual Love the Boot Week, the state's largest litter cleanup and beautification event. Every effort, large or small, creates a lasting impact. So let's join the movement to make Louisiana a cleaner and greener place to call home. Love the Boot Week takes place April 5th through 13th. Sign up to volunteer or organize an event at lovetheboot.org. Brought to you by the Office of the Lieutenant Governor and Keep Louisiana Beautiful.
Your teeth are in need of a little dental work, but you're putting it off. Why? Could it be you can't stand the thought of wearing old-timey adhesive-filled dentures? Is it the high cost of dental implants? Or is it just the concept of having a dentist poking around inside your mouth? Whatever your reason, today's Dental in Pineville has it covered. And with hundreds of smiling, satisfied patients, they've made getting implants amazingly simple, low anxiety, and affordable for everyone. And with calming in-office IV sedation administered by a highly skilled certified nurse anesthetist, your anxiety will all but slip away. Plus, their multiple finance options make implants truly affordable. So why wait? If you're looking to replace your old-timey denture with permanent implants, give Today's Dental on Highway 28 East in Pineville a call at 448-4540. It's a general dental facility owned by Dr. Jonas Goche, 448-4540.
Did you know that 71% of all licensed real estate agents did not sell a single property in 2024? Hi, this is Trish Lala. When it's time to make the largest financial decision of your life, buying or selling a home, what's happening in the market really matters. The good news is you actually can still come out ahead if you place your trust in an agency with decades of experience handling all of those ups and downs. When experience matters, we're here for you. The Trish Lala Group.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 1.9 FM, KSYO.
Once you start talking about success, then other people are like, well, hey, what about these people? So we also have...
Because there's so much success out there.
That's right. We have the 2025 LHSAA state champions in bass fishing, which is Justin Blaze and Chance Babb. and they've qualified for the Nationals in Grand Lake, or on Grand Lake in Grove, Oklahoma this summer. That's pretty cool.
What's really amazing is if you look at their poundage that was sent to us there, I think most bass tournaments, that's 5 fish, I think, is what they can weigh in. So if they average over 4 pounds per fish on 21 pounds, it looks like. So maybe it's more than 5 if it's 2 guys. But yeah, definitely congratulations to Justin and Chance on that. Here's one of the things I tell our board, when we're recognizing young people and teachers and other folks that are during our superintendent's report each month, I said, look, anywhere people from Rapides Parish go, they win.
Yeah.
And so where we're doing a lot of great things academically, I do love the fact that we can celebrate in just about every other field of play, competition, whether it's robotics, archery. I mean, we've got a whole list of students that qualify for the National Archery Tournament, which I got to go out there last week or a week and a half ago to the state last archery tournament, which is hosted by the Wildlife and Fisheries out at the LSU Ag Center. And man, if you haven't seen that, or if you haven't done that, they actually gave me a bow and some arrows to go shoot for the coaches competition. Yeah. I won't share what my score was, but let me just tell you, it's harder than they make it look.
Did you hit the target?
I did. Okay. Now, I had some not, but I did hit the target and actually maybe got the little 10-point circle one time, I think. So.
We should mention that Justin and Chance are from Glenmora, and I also saw someone, or it was posted the other day on the Rapides Parish Journal that, I don't know what their last names are, but Ethan and Eli from Tioga's bass fishing team, they were the Caney Lake Hog Fest high school champions for Louisiana Bass Nation. 200 boats in that competition.
Wow.
Wow.
So that's pretty impressive.
Winners everywhere.
That's right, which is awesome. It's been, quite a school year, and I was just thinking about the calendar. We're only a week away or so from jumping into April, and then it's like, wow, it gets frantic in a hurry, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's funny. What's the old quote? The moments seem to go by slow, but then the years go by fast, and we're definitely living that. And I got to do a huge shout out to our teachers and our all of our faculty staff, us operators, everybody. This year has been one where we've really tried to lift some things that a little bit differently than before with our instructional programming. I've had the opportunity to go around and meet with every group of teachers and staff at every school. I'm down to my last 2 that are happening in the next few days. And the work that's being done is unbelievable to focus our energies on teaching and learning. And, as we talk every year about this time, what it comes down to is a test that every one of our students are going to take. We'll start shortly after the Easter break. We have a little window there to get our assessments done. Our juniors took the ACT last week. And so, we're just so thankful for the hard work that our teachers put in, the way the community has really rallied around the work that's getting done in our schools. We're going to continue to be focused on what we could do to raise the academic achievement, whether it's literacy, math. Now you're seeing a big refocus or recalibration back on math fundamentals. I heard Dr. Bromley say, the last couple of years we've talked about literacy so strongly. He said all the math teachers are getting jealous. And so as a former math teacher, I can echo that. I'm glad that we're going to see a kind of a back to basics approach to math and getting some fundamentals in the early years so that students really can do well on the higher level stuff as they move up in the grade level.
Definitely. I know there are a lot of school performances coming up as well in terms of plays and musicals and other productions, and I'm sure your schedule gets full in a hurry.
We try to attend as many of them as I can, try to bring my kids to some of them as well and to support those programs. There's a big talented music recital. Our talented students are sprinkled all over the parish, and so we do bring them together to do a recital. But there's play. I think Bolton Academy's got High School Musical going on this weekend, and just we really encourage people. We've talked about it before. Central Louisiana, or Rapides Parish specifically, has a huge performing arts scene. Of all things, yes. We do have a huge performing arts scene, and I want people to remember that we have a great opportunity within our high schools for you to go as you're going out and scheduling your symphony visits and other plays that our community puts on. We're great friends with Ross Scheck-Schneider as they do Lanyap Theater, and we've got a lot of students that participate with them. They've got a big production coming up. So, come out and support our schools when you see that they're doing some really amazing things.
Yeah, I mean, you can't talk about a lack of things to do especially this springtime. I know all the schools out there are having these performances, and they are amazing.
They are.
Really, really are. So
I do kind of
get your tickets and go support them.
Yeah, I like how you said that, Trish. We hear people talk about, well, there's just not enough for kids to do or people to do. There's plenty, you know, and we have to do a better job of sharing it out so everybody knows, you know, and come out and support our young people.
We got about a minute left. Just want to kind of reiterate, we had you on the show Friday along with Jason DeWitt talking about the Constitutional Amendment number 2 vote. Early voting is continuing this week. The election is on the 29th for people that are waiting for that. There's kind of been some confusion over if this teacher pay raise goes through with Constitutional Amendment number 2, which comes from the state, that 13th check would go away in Rapides Parish. Absolutely not true.
Right, absolutely. And you know, as I said the other day, we don't get into, you know, telling people how to vote on anything. I did my early voting this past weekend to get it out of the way, and I'm proud of the work that's getting done around our state. As I said earlier, there's some hard things that have to get done. And I actually saw a post from somebody that acted like if we vote yes on 2, that the school systems are not required to give that money back to the employee, and that's just simply not true. I mean, the language that I've read, it says, and require school systems to put that money back in employees' pockets. I mean, that's what it's going to pay down the retirement there, but it has zero bearing on our tax checks. Those were voted on by the populace, and those are still dedicated funds to what they are for.
Good to clarify that. So, well, Jeff, great stuff. We look forward to catching up with you again next month.
Sounds like a plan.
In April. Wow. April. Where's the year gone? All right, Jeff Powell, Superintendent of Rapides Parish Schools, our guest on Talk Back. We have much more coming up after the top of the hour news.
You've been listening to Talk Back. The opinions expressed were those of the hosts and callers, and not necessarily those of Cenlaw Broadcasting. FM 104.9, AM 970, KSYL, and KRRV 100.3 HP3, Alexandria. It's 8 o'clock. Is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Michael Wallace. Ukrainian President Zelensky says he will speak with President Trump today. Yesterday, Vladimir Putin told Trump Russia would stop attacking Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Through an interpreter, Zelensky claims that promise was broken overnight.
Well, Putin's assurances and words that he issues an order to not strike energy, that is insufficient.
The BBC's Steve Rosenberg in Moscow says Russia wants some assurances in any ceasefire deal.
Saying that the West has to stop arming Ukraine, that the West has to stop providing Ukraine with intelligence, and that Ukraine has to stop recruiting people for the army. Conditions that Ukraine simply will not agree to.
In Israel, thousands of people are protesting Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's decision to resume airstrikes in Gaza. Reporter Linda Gradstein is in Jerusalem.
The Israeli army said it hit 20 targets overnight, including a Hamas military site in northern Gaza, where they said they identified preparations for rocket attacks on Israel. It was the second night of Israeli airstrikes on Gaza, although these were not as widespread as the first night. Hamas says it has not closed the door on indirect talks with Israel to extend the ceasefire.
President Trump wants to retaliate against the judges who have ruled against his administration. He tells Fox,
"We have bad judges. We have very bad judges, and these are judges that shouldn't be allowed." I think at a certain point you have to start looking at what do you do when you have a rogue judge.
Yesterday, a judge ruled Trump's cuts to USAID were likely unconstitutional. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says the Federal Reserve is expected to leave interest rates alone when it wraps up its meeting today.
The Fed is trying to delicately balance their two goals. One is to keep inflation in check, and the other is to make sure the economy is strong enough to create jobs. That's called the dual mandate.
Lower egg prices are finally in sight. Centre College economics professor David Anderson says wholesale prices have dropped by about half in the last month.
Easter is coming up, and so we can expect a spike in demand, but hopefully after Easter, we'll see prices come down to match the decrease in wholesale prices.
The number of bird flu outbreaks has dropped, but new outbreaks could push egg prices higher again. CBS's Michael George has some bad news if you smoke pot.
People who use cannabis are more likely to suffer a heart attack. The American College of Cardiology found marijuana users under the age of 50 were 6 times more likely to have heart attacks compared to non-users.
The study's authors point out cannabis users are more likely to use other drugs, which could also be to blame for heart attacks. This is CBS News.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You could save big when you bundle your auto, home, motorcycle, RV, or boat. Visit Progressive.com.
Woohoo!
Unbelievable.
All right. Those are the sounds of tax accountants rejoicing after experiencing the power of Blue Jay, the leading generative AI solution for tax research. Tax season is here, and if you're an accounting firm, the pressure is on. Long hours and tight deadlines make this time of year a challenge for even the most seasoned tax professionals. So, tax accountants, here's your solution. Blue Jay, the preferred partner solution of CPA.com for tax research. Ask a complex tax question, and Blue Jay gives you better tax answers in seconds. Save time and maximize your clients' refunds with high-speed, accurate, and intuitive AI technology built with a library of only the most trusted tax resources, updated daily to keep up with changes in tax. For a limited time, save 40% off at bluejay.com/start now. That's BLUE, the letter J.com/start now. Or text taxes to 511-511. Blue Jay, generative AI for better tax answers. Text taxes to 511-511 today. Tax fees may apply.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Sean Burns. Louisiana has carried out its first execution in 15 years. Andrew Greenstein has the details.
Mr. Hoffman was pronounced deceased by the West Feliciana Parish Coroner's Office at approximately 6:50 p.m.
Corrections Secretary Gary Westcott announcing the death of Jesse Hoffman. Chief of Operations Seth Smith says they started administering the nitrogen gas at 6:21 yesterday evening, and it continued for a total of 19 minutes.
We waited until there was no electrical activity in the heart, which took, I want to say, 14 minutes. And then we went 5 minutes beyond that.
Smith says he saw Hoffman twitch, but he didn't see anything that was consistent with pain or inconsistent with death. Hoffman was executed for killing 28-year-old Molly Elliott in 1996. Attorney General Liz Murrill says justice was long overdue.
Governor Landry and I made a promise to the citizens of Louisiana and the family members of the victims of these heinous crimes that we would put them first.
I'm Andrew Greenstein.
LRN.
Starting a business can be overwhelming, especially when you do it alone. Don't do it alone. Take control of your future with a Janny King Gulf Coast franchise. With Janny King, you get guaranteed initial growth, reliable operational support, and ongoing education to set you up for success. Janny King has built a proven system that gives you the tools to take control of your future confidently and with the support you need to thrive. The future is yours. Today at JannyKingCleans.com.
Janny King, the king of fixing love.
Good morning. Going to start out our Wednesday with mostly cloudy skies, but things getting better as the day goes on. Sunny by this afternoon. We'll put in the chance of an afternoon shower, about a 20% chance of that. Afternoon highs near 80 degrees. The wind factor out of the southwest at 10 to 15. It'll gust as high as 30. Clear tonight down to 44, and they get ready tomorrow a lot cooler as we'll see sunny skies. Highs only 64. From the Sedlaw Broadcasting Weather Center, that's your forecast. I'm Dave Gratian. Currently 67 degrees in Sedlaw.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 27 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
And welcome back, everyone, on Talkback here on KSYL. Al Quartermont, Trish Lolo with you. Coming up at 8:30, we are scheduled to have Governor Jeff Landry call in. We'll be talking with him about Constitutional Amendment number 2. I definitely want to ask him about what took place yesterday down at Angola and the first execution in the state in quite a while. So that made not just statewide headlines, but national headlines as well.
I know. I heard that this morning on our national headlines, too. Yeah. And I know that's something that he, as Attorney General, and now Liz Murrill as Attorney General, has said that they stood for justice for the victim's family.
Right, right. And the death penalty remains something that's very controversial. People have strong opinions on both sides. But this governor feels that when people are victims of violent crimes like murder, that for the families, this is a good way to bring justice to them. So this person was put to death. And when you look at what he did, I mean, this was a lovely young woman, and he took her out, raped her, then made her walk like on a pier naked, and then shot her execution style. So I don't really have much sympathy for him. I do think that the death penalty, as a lot of times it stands, is not as much a deterrent. Even I heard some comments from Mrs. Elliott's husband saying that had this been carried out within a couple of years, it would have probably meant more to him and his family. But now that it's taken so long, it's almost like they've moved past it to some degree, and it's not going to have the same effect. So I understand and appreciate what he's saying there. But I mean, you look at some of the crimes that take place around the country, what these illegal immigrants did to that beautiful young girl in the Houston area, obviously the Lake and Riley story. I'd have no problems with those guys being quickly convicted and executed, because I think that sends a message.
It's such a, it's one of those issues that, and you've got people on both sides of this issue that are so, entrenched in it. And it was something, again, that was kind of my college degree was in criminology and studying. Is it a deterrent? Is it not? Some of these people are sitting there and they're like, put me to death, because I'd rather that than spend my whole life in prison. So what really is a deterrent, or is it not? And is it something that we should be doing? Should we not? And I feel like, we haven't talked about it in so long. It's like there were none of them happening for a long period of time. And now states are starting to come back and starting to do so you're starting to see it in the headlines again. So I think it is going to become, a top issue again here shortly.
Because I don't know, Nathan mentioned this yesterday. I think it was South Carolina that last week it was, where they had an exexecution using a firing squad.
Yeah, which you haven't heard about that since. I mean, what?
Right. Which I'm like, can you imagine being the guys pulling the trigger on the guns? I mean, I guess you see it as your duty to your fellow citizens, but
well, whether you're the guy pulling the trigger on the gun, or the one pushing the injection, or the one flipping the switch, that was always one of those things. And so I think you're going to see more and more of this as more states start coming back and doing that too.
Right. Well, I mean, there's been such a runaway of crime in recent years, especially violent crimes, that you can kind of see this, and maybe it will be a deterrent. Who knows? I know at the national level, President Trump's doing his best to try to rid our country of a lot of the criminal element that was brought in the last 4 years. It's unbelievable to me, these judges that are trying to shut it down, like the one over the weekend. Like, where were these judges when Biden was flying people in to the country, right? It's like, okay, that clearly wasn't
the point. The argument, that was the argument to make about this. Like, are these the people that you want here?
Right.
In our country.
I mean, there's something deeper to all of it. I've talked about this before.
Absolutely.
What's really going on. Had to laugh. Babylon Bee had a headline yesterday. Federal judge orders astronauts to be returned to the space station. It's almost comical that it hasn't happened. I mean, it's like every single thing that we're trying to see done.
Well, and the fact that it was Musk that was able to bring them back.
Yes.
Which, again, talk about a happy story. Watching them splash down yesterday afternoon.
Oh my goodness.
Was amazing. And then you had to have seen the footage of the dolphins that just came and started playing around the capsule there after it landed.
So cool.
How cool was that?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was amazing. So, and it's funny because you see the national media, when they're reporting on this story, they kind of say, the astronauts that were rescued from space station. It's sort of,
that's right.
They don't really want to give Elon much credit for what he's done. But I mean, this is the sad thing about partisan politics, is that because of Elon Musk's support for President Trump, now he's being cast in some circles as almost a villain. When you look at his track record and what he has brought in terms of innovation and helping the country as a whole, it's just heartbreaking to watch this. And now you got the leftist loons with the Tesla cars and the Cybertrucks, and apparently now there's a website There's a website where they're doxing
Really?
people, which means that they're putting their names and information of where they live. Who own
If
Teslas.
they own Teslas?
Yes.
Oh, that's awful.
I know.
That's awful. Well, I know you've seen all them setting fires to them at the Tesla dealerships.
Yes.
Like they're all selling. They want it. They're watching the stock, wanting it to tank.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And you know what's going to happen? It's going to backfire. More people are going to buy Teslas now.
I mean, you saw what happened in the election, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean.
But still, he brought the astronauts back.
Yeah. Yes.
Now they're trying to say, they really weren't stuck up there.
What?
What?
Yeah.
No, they just decided instead of.
And they could have done it when Biden was president, but they didn't want to use Elon Musk to do it.
So there you go.
So again, at one point, does politics become a self-defeating thing where, we can't even enjoy or take advantage of good things just because we disagree with someone politically?
Can't we all just get along and support each other?
We can't.
For the best of.
We can't. I mean, I'm answering your question in a real term. It can't happen anymore.
You can have different views. You can have different beliefs. It's okay. But I will still love you. It's all right.
You're saying this as someone who leans conservative. And this is a conversation I was having yesterday with somebody. You and I, as more conservative people, tend to be open-minded that even if I disagree with you, I'm not going to hate you.
Right.
But the left sees the people on the right as immoral. And so it follows this pattern.
Not all of them, just a few vocals.
Well, yeah.
But,
I mean, I'm talking about extreme leftists. Yeah. So I saw there are all kinds of videos going around on Twitter now where they're catching people who are going up to Teslas and taking their keys and scratching Nazi symbols in them. And some of them are getting caught. Some of them are being captured by people's cell phones, and they're busting them right there. And then one guy I saw yesterday, he took a video and then he showed the guy's license plate and then called the police out.
Again, this is what this country is founded on, right?
Yes.
You are entitled to your views, your beliefs, all of that. But it doesn't mean you have to impose them on me, and I'm not going to impose mine on you.
Right.
And we can still like each other.
Theoretically, yes, but that's not what's happening right
would
now.
We be if
Yeah.
All
right.
Well, you lit up the phone lines, Al.
We did. Let's go to that. You're on the BOM Bank Talk Line. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Say do away with the opposition. In other words, it's clear that it was overwhelming what the citizens of the United States wanted. Yet we have these idiots that defy our, what we wish to be done.
Well, what do you mean when you say eliminate the opposition? Like, what would you do?
I would arrest them on site and put them in Guantanamo, put them in a jail somewhere and leave them there. If they're clearly defying what the will of the country is, to me that's opposition. And if you oppose a cop, what happens?
Yeah.
You go to jail. Okay. You're opposing what the majority of us want. So in my mind, if you're going to oppose it, you're breaking the law.
Gotcha.
Say shoot them on site. That's just me. We wouldn't have all this rift going on like we got now. It's just a little bit tougher. Just like if they're on death row.
All right. Sorry, you're cutting out on us. So I feel like, it's okay to be opposed to something. You can voice that. That's freedom of speech. But when it becomes an action like committing vandalism, then it borders on terrorism. It really does. So, and no one has a right to do that to someone else's property or person. So, all right, another call. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Good morning, Al. Good morning, Trish.
Hey,
good morning.
So two things. It's ironic that the left is so upset with Elon Musk, and they've been the ones pushing electric vehicles for 10 years now.
I know.
I mean, they're the ones that have talked about nothing but electric vehicles.
Right.
And I heard it summed up. I heard it summed up this way the other day. It's really kind of simple. I don't think Democrats are bad people. I think they have really bad ideas, and they think that we're bad people.
Right.
They really honestly think we're bad people.
Right. That's what I was trying to say.
That.
Yep.
Yeah. I just think they have really bad ideas, and they think Republicans are just bad people. That's a shame.
Yeah, it's more of a moral judgment where we're looking at it as a philosophical judgment. So, and you go back to Elon. I mean, he has done effectively what a lot of the left wants, which is the creation of an electric vehicle. The difference is Elon hasn't done it through the force of government. He's done it through the free market by producing a product that people desire to have. And at the same time, he's also helped install the infrastructure. Whereas we saw in one of those Biden stimulus bills or infrastructure bills, all of these charging stations that were supposed to be built, and they spent billions of dollars and built like 4. So the whole argument shows the insanity of what we've been going through in this country the last few years, the inefficiency and bloat of bureaucracy and government versus the efficiency of private ventures like Tesla. So it is head scratching.
Thank y'all for the time.
Yeah, thank you as well. And SpaceX as well.
Well, I was going to say,
pour all this money into NASA, and like SpaceX is like, sweeping right by them. So I'm actually for the privatization of more things. And then we're, on the same topic, a federal judge this morning ordered the restoration of all the USAID money, citing constitutional violations. I mean, these leftist judges were put in place for a reason, and now we're seeing the issues with them. And you know what? When the courts ruled against Biden doing the student loan reimbursement, he ignored them. So if President Trump ignores them, the precedent has already been set to do that. And you can thank Joe Biden. All right, let's go to another call. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Well, you see it over in Europe how they're talking about raising defense spending in Europe.
Yes.
You ever see how they do that? Well, the European Union wants to create a central bank digital currency for all the European nations that are part of the European Union, then use savings from people's bank accounts for the increased defense spending. And they'll put an IOU in there.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the whole European Union thing and NATO and how much America has put in versus the other countries. I mean, it's very head scratching. It's another one of those where it just feels like for years, the American taxpayer has just been ripped off either by our government or other governments. And, now we finally have a move to put some sanity on all this, and it's being termed as this draconian controversial thing. So I don't know about you, Trish, but I feel like I pay enough taxes right now. And I feel like with all the corruption that's been exposed, if we didn't pay taxes for the next 20 years, it still wouldn't equal what the waste has been. That's frustrating.
Well, yeah.
So, anywho, we'll take a break. More Talkback coming up.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
The cost of air travel is more than just the ticket price. It's also fuel, meals, lodging, parking, and time. The more we fly AEX, the better our chances of bringing back flights to Houston and Charlotte. Support AEX and help our community grow. Find your true cost at local.flyaex.org.
Teens are using social media to buy what they think are prescription pills, like Oxy, Xanax, or Adderall. But these pills are actually made with a cheaper, stronger, and more deadly synthetic called fentanyl. You cannot see it, smell it, or taste it. Naloxone and fentanyl testing strips are available for free through many community service organizations to help prevent opioid overdose. Carry naloxone and know the signs of an overdose. If you or a loved one needs help, go to opioidhelpla.org. Brought to you by the Louisiana Department of Health.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for you.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs and dangerous things like metals into your body.
And nicotine, which can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media.
Many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping. Because when you talk, they hear you.
Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Sinlaw Broadcasting is local, so we promote the locals.
Helping to feed Sinlaws hungry, the Food Bank of Central Louisiana serves more than 22,000 people every month in our community. They support local food pantries, soup kitchens, emergency shelters, after-school programs, and kids cafes. For every dollar donated, our food bank can provide 5 meals to families in need. Learn more on Facebook or at fbsinlaw.org. Together, we can provide hope to the hungry people here in Central Louisiana.
This has been a public service reminder from Sinlaw Broadcasting.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BOM Bank Talk line at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. Talk back.
And you know what their attitude is? I made my money all by myself. How dare your government take my money from me? I don't want to pay taxes. Or I built my company with my bare hands. How dare your government tell me how I should treat my customers, my the land and water that I own, or my employees. They hate government. Government's a barrier to people, a barrier to stop them from doing things. They want to destroy it. We are not letting them do it, and we're united.
Okay, good.
All right, that was Chuck Schumer on The View
What else but
yesterday.
The View?
Oh, so here's the problem for you hardworking business owners out there. If you take the view that you made the money by yourself and that the government's just trying to take your money from you because you built it with your bare hands, Chuck Schumer says you're a problem. You have a wrong attitude. You need to have your attitude adjusted so that you lovingly and willingly pay taxes as much as they want you to. Wow. I'll tell you what, that is his. Remember when Barack Obama, you didn't build that. You didn't build that. You didn't build that. That's, if they don't use this soundbite over and over again during the 2026 congressional elections,
Right.
they're missing out.
I mean, what do I go to what do I do all day? What do I do it for?
To pay your taxes. Yeah.
Right.
So now this is the whole issue that we've really had in the country since we moved to a progressive income tax, which is the mindset of so many of these politicians now is it's their money, not yours. They don't want you to get it back or have control.
And now that we want to look at how they're spending it,
yeah,
again, we're the bad guys because,
Right.
we're going to look at what you're doing with our money. Because again, yes, it's our money that we worked hard. You know, I worked for 20-something years to build up this real estate reputation and, take care of our clients and do all of these things to be successful in this business.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're gonna question if I'm looking at how you're spending the tax money that
you shouldn't have a right to question if they're doing a Sesame Street in Iraq.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, let me
and all
fund
the other
that.
things.
Check. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, again, hold people accountable. You're voting these people into office, hold them accountable.
well, and there's a reason. You saw over the weekend, CBS and CNN both showed polls where the popularity of the Democratic Party right now is somewhere between 27 and 29%, which I'm kind of shocked it's even that high at this point. But they keep on with this losing message. It's just incredible that they won't give it up and they think it's the winning message when clearly American people have said enough. We are done with this insanity that has put our country 30, 40, 50 trillion dollars in debt, that has destroyed our economy from the standpoint of inflation. And Trump and Musk are at least trying to do something to stem the tide of this, but we see the resistance, whether it be Chuck Schumer voicing it or whether it's these federal judges, thinking that they have the authority to do this. And then yesterday, John Roberts, he responded to the thought that they want to impeach this judge who told Trump to turn the planes around that were carrying these Venezuelan gang members. And Roberts came out and made a statement about that. And it's like, okay, you're a Supreme Court justice. You shouldn't be taking a political stand on this. So, Roberts has been a colossal, in my mind, colossal failure as the Chief Justice. So he's the reason, Obamacare really was passed, because he twisted kind of the opinion on that. So I don't know. It's a wacky time we're at, but you can see where Donald Trump is up for the fight, and they just kind of keep giving him more ammunition to fight with, really.
Yeah.
So
I mean, again, but that's what we needed, somebody who was willing to take it all on.
Yeah.
Now he's like the bull in the china shop taking it on. Sure. But I mean, to get a little bit of it done, you got to go. You got to go full war, right?
Right.
So hey, but the price of eggs is coming down.
Price of eggs are definitely coming down, and so it's
when we say
like
sit
half
back,
now.
relax, just sit back, relax.
Yeah.
It's gonna be okay.
Yeah. It is.
Let's see. just give it a little bit of time.
Right. I'm enjoying it. I mean, and I love seeing sound bites from Carolyn Levitt that emerge pretty much every day. See that
every day.
The one the other day, they asked her about another
the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, someone from France has suggested we return the Statue of Liberty, and her response to it was just perfect. If it wasn't for the United States, France would be speaking German right now.
Yep.
When I saw that, I was ready for the little sunglasses come down,
right,
and you hear da 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 da, because a lot of times people make that.
Every day there's a great sound bite. She has just been fantastic. Like,
she is.
No more word salad.
No
more word salad.
I mean, she knows what she's talking about.
That's the thing.
She's forceful in her responses,
but yet she's not. What's the word I'm looking for? She's forceful in her responses, but she's not disrespectful.
Right.
She doesn't do a
No.
She's like, look,
very good.
Again, here's the facts.
Yeah.
Here's what here's what we know.
Yep. That's the thing we didn't really get time to talk about, but they released like 80,000 pages from the JFK assassination.
Have you gone down any of the?
No, I have. I've just been seeing what other people have been posting.
Same here. I'm letting other people do that work.
Yeah.
And then I'm just reading theirs.
Yeah. JFK Jr. had said he thought Joe Biden was a traitor back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting, right?
All right, we need to take a break. Governor Landry is scheduled to call in.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. It's still tough out there for would-be home buyers. Not only are prices still elevated, but mortgage rates are on the rise again. They were trending lower since January, but now a mortgage bankers group says the 30-year mortgage rate rose to 6.72% last week. The market for secondhand clothing and accessories is booming. Shoppers are ramping up their purchases of those items. ThreadUp says that last year they spent $227 billion on secondhand apparel, accounting for almost 10% of all global spending on clothes. The online resale marketplace says global secondhand fashion sales are projected to surpass $250 billion next year and $300 billion in 2027. Investors will focus in today on Fed Chair Jeff Powell. After the Fed wraps up its meeting, interest rates are expected to remain unchanged. Futures are higher this morning. Stocks fell in yesterday's trading. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
Louisiana's moving forward. Crime rates are tumbling. Education, our best test scores ever. Governor Landry announced the largest jobs and economic growth project in Louisiana history. 10+ billion private sector dollars. Now we keep Louisiana moving forward with a yes vote on Amendment 2, March 29th. Amendment 2 permanently lowers the maximum income tax rate. It pays down debt and gives our teachers a permanent salary increase. It keeps the homestead exemption and exemptions for religious organizations. Amendment 2 doubles the senior citizen tax deduction. And Amendment 2 builds on Governor Landry's efforts stopping unneeded spending with a permanent government growth limit. Let's keep Louisiana moving forward by voting yes on Amendment 2. Paid for by Make Louisiana Great Again.
It's springtime in Zinlaw and time to explore. Feeling adventurous? Go biking or hiking in the National Forest or camping at the many recreation areas that offer canoeing, kayaking, boating, and fishing. Fun for the whole family. Check out the animals at the zoo, on a petting farm, or at a drive-through safari. Love golf? Then hit the links. And for those with a taste for freshness, don't miss our farmers market. Visit explorelouisiana.com to plan your trip today. Want more ideas? Go to alexandriapinevillela.com.
Good morning. Going to start out our Wednesday with mostly cloudy skies, but things getting better as the day goes on. Sunny by this afternoon. We'll put in the chance of an afternoon shower, about a 20% chance of that. Afternoon highs near 80 degrees. The wind factor out of the southwest at 10 to 15. It'll gust as high as 30. Clear tonight down to 44, and they get ready tomorrow. A lot cooler as we'll see sunny skies. Highs only 64. From the Sedlaw Broadcasting Weather Center, that's your forecast. I'm Dave Gratian. Currently 66 degrees in Sedlaw.
Now back to Talk Back, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYL.
And we are back with you, Al Quartermont, Trish LaLove. Very pleased to be joined on the phone by the governor of the state of Louisiana, Jeff Landry. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am great, and yourself?
Doing so well. We appreciate you being on the show today, and we definitely want to talk with you about amendment number 2 that people are voting on. Before we get to that, I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on what took place yesterday at Angola with the execution of Jesse Hoffman, first execution in Louisiana in 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have made a promise. So first of all, I think that the news should be about the fact that Mary Molly Elliott, a 28-year-old advertising executive who was carjacked, raped, robbed, and then summarily executed by Hoffman, got her day in justice. And her family did as well, because for the last almost 30 years, her family has had to endure consistent appeals, reliving the trial, reliving the incidents without the justice that that our criminal justice system, that the state of Louisiana promised them, and that those 12 jurors who sat in front of that case gave out. Mm-hmm. And so to me, that's the story. The story is that the state is finally living up to the promises that it's made by victims, because no longer are we going to focus on criminals, but we're going to focus on victims. And when we focus on victims, and then the penalty for creating victims fits the crime, then hopefully people won't go commit the crime. And so to me, that's what happened yesterday. The message is that we don't want to put another person on death row, but that no law is going to stop that, other than the fact that they know that if you commit heinous crimes in this state, it will cost you your life. And that's what happened yesterday.
Yes, sir.
You go out there, you commit these crimes, you're going to pay the penalty. So, we don't want them to do that.
Yeah. In his case, it took quite a while. Do you see the death penalty becoming?
No. In her case.
Okay.
In her case.
I got you.
You see what I'm saying?
Right,
this is not about the victim. It's not about the criminal. This is about her.
Yeah.
It's about Molly and her family.
Right.
And so, yes, it took a long time. It took way too long.
Yeah. And my question to that is, do you see a time coming now where the victims will get that justice meted out faster than what that process has been?
Yeah, look, I think that we're going to continue to work with the Attorney General. Her and I spoke yesterday, and I think that there are ways under which we can streamline the process, under which we protect the due process that defendants are constitutionally allowed, and that is their right, while speeding up the process. Because, again, the process is supposed to be speedy, but fair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, thank you for answering that. I appreciate it. All right. Constitutional Amendment number 2. We have early voting continuing this week. The election day is March 29th, and people will be voting on 4 constitutional amendments. But while the other 3 are certainly important, this is the one that has been getting a lot of attention, which has to do with a lot of financial matters in the state. So I know that you're strongly behind this, so I want to give you your chance to let the folks know why you feel they should be voting for this.
Look, again, I think the people of Louisiana sent many of us to Baton Rouge in the election cycle a couple of years ago, wanting to see things fixed in Baton Rouge. They wanted to see things changed, and we have been doing that. We've been moving at a pretty rapid pace. In fact, I thought we were moving fast until President Trump got elected, and He seems to be find a whole new gear. And one of the things, and I think we had discussed it on your show last year, was we were trying to rewrite our overbloated Constitution, to streamline the Constitution in order to make sure that we protect our liberties and rights, but also ensure our proper structure of government, and took everything else and placing that in the hands of the legislature, which the people elected us to do. And so what we did not get that constitutional convention, but what we did do is bring the legislature back, and we addressed Article 7, which is about 30% of what we were trying to do, because we recognize that if we really want to have control of the budgeting and be able to responsibly address